Hey Joe, could you take us through the conversation that led to calling the QB sneak and kind of the dynamic there between you and Sean McDermott? I know that you've done that before this season with other calls, but could you take us through that? And was there any consideration to passing the ball there, or was it really always QB sneak all the way in that situation?
Yeah, I think you look at us inside the one this year. We haven't been stopped on a QB sneak going into this game, and the only one on paper that didn't work going into this game was an illegal formation against the Jets that we ended up kind of going to get it. So at that point, percentages wise, it was like, hey, the highest percentage play at that point felt like was just doing a QB sneak, but the highest percentage play to get that, but at the same time, the cost that not getting it, essentially potentially and kind of did cost us the game. And so I have to do a better job in that situation, and something that we're continuing to evaluate. And at the end of the day, we can't burn a timeout there, and just got to give us the ball back with. Defense gets a stop, and we have to go 50, 60 yards, and hope to get a field goal in that situation in 3 plays. And so obviously a lot going on right there, but we got to be better. I got to be better in those situations.
And you mentioned it's one of your most highly successful plays throughout the course of the season. So in this situation, and you've had time to watch the film, I'm sure. What do you feel went wrong? Why weren't you able to push it across from 1 yard?
I mean, it's I think a lot goes into a QB sneak. Sometimes it's the just the get off. Sometimes it's the just the way that Josh is able to find a way to get through there. And so without getting into specifics, at the end of the day, if we're going to call it, we got to make sure that we know 100% that we can get it. And I felt confident in it and felt confident in doing it, but that doesn't make it right. Just with the mindset of, hey, the cost that with what comes with not getting it. And we need to score there, and when we do score, we got to score, making sure we have 3 timeouts.
Only, I think, 6 carries for James Cook against a team that was giving up a lot on the ground. Was that more due to game script? Was it just due to the passing game really clicking? What's your perspective on that?
No, I think a lot of it kind of outside after the first drive of the second half, we're really in kind of a 2-minute situation the rest of the game. That whole team is sometimes I think the numbers kind of can lie to you a little bit. It's a really good rush defense. Obviously the Eagles and Saquon, had a really good game against them, but they do a really good job against the run, and we didn't do a good job. We didn't do a good job at the limited times that we did run the ball. And staying on schedule, we didn't do a good enough job. And I think it's important to be able to stay in 2-dimensional, and we didn't do that both offensively and complementary as a team. And so have to get back to the drawing board and do a better job.
All right, thanks for your time.
Hey Joe, if you could, I know there's a lot of moving parts in that moment. You guys are driving down the field. You have a couple of pass interferences. Sean mentioned that there's just so much communication going into those play calls. What is that back and forth like between you and Sean as you're deciding on that play? Is it, you say we love the sneak. Sean says we love the sneak. Like how does that operation work?
Yeah, I'm not really to get into specifics of kind of our dialogue and whatnot, but that's what comes with us, right? It's situational football in so many games, as we know, it comes down to it. And and we have a lot of dialogue before the drive in terms of, hey, this is the thought process. And even going back to that drive, you get to a certain point, and there's potential of kicking a field goal after a certain point, and depending on what their yard line is, to be able to then have 3 timeouts. And so there was so much communication, a lot changes. We got kind of midway, at the logo right there, and kind of hit a little stall. And then we had the PI on the 4th and 15, then taking some chances that, as things go. And so there's a lot of back and forth as those things are going. And that's a product of it. There's a lot of calm communication. There was nothing, no panic or anything. We just have to do a better job of, offensively, I have to do a better job. And we have to do a better job of executing in those situations.
Mm-hmm. And then in the run game, Ray Davis didn't have a touch in this game. Anything go into that, or is that just how the game kind of played out?
Yeah, no, again, you don't, he should be getting touches, and he should be getting carries. And I think some of that, I think his first carry, was looking at was going to be like play 31, and that can't happen. We had a false start on one of them, and, he's too good of a running back to not get some touches. And like I said, some of that was the way that the game was kind of getting played early on, might have passed the ball a little too much, kind of in hindsight, but I felt like with where things were going. Not necessarily with the game, but just how they were kind of playing it. That I felt like there were some advantageous looks in the pass game, and but at the same time, we got to stay two-dimensional and be able to stay ahead of the chains. And that was something that that our running backs do a good job of doing that. And so making sure that we're staying in that kind of mindset and not just getting maybe a pass heavy in those situations.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey Joe, Ian Mills with Channel 10 in Rochester. Obviously, not the result you guys wanted, but Josh had a season high in passing yards. He obviously, played very well, and part of that's because it was a close game down the stretch. But I guess my question is, going down this back half of the season, approaching the playoffs, how promising might it be that, I mean, we know Josh Allen is already, in the case for MVP, but to see a performance like that down the stretch, again, not the result you guys wanted, but keeping you guys in the game late in the fourth quarter, despite being down 17 at one point.
Yeah, I mean that's who Josh Allen is. But Josh will trade a 12 for 15 game for a win all day, right? That's the type of team we have. Like we don't care about anything besides winning football games, and like that's who he is, right? And as long as there's time on the clock, no matter what the score is, we're down 17 at multiple times in the game, and we talk all about the character of our guys that no one blinked. We believe that as long as there's time on the clock, we have an opportunity to win the football game, and a lot of that belief obviously comes with the guy that we have behind center, and and Josh Allen, and but I don't think anybody cares about the stats or how it gets done. We're just if a team scores 44, we have to score 45, and so we always just have to score one more point than them, and that's our only focus and only concern.
Yeah. Amari Cooper had his best statistical day, 14 targets, from Josh. How do you feel like he's been progressing, since being traded about a month and a half ago?
Yeah, it's been good. It's you take back to when Coop gets here, and it takes time for quarterbacks and receivers to get on on the same page. And I know the first game he had a couple nice catches and a touchdown, and it actually just thinks that you can just kind of pick off, just pick it up, and don't get me wrong, it's great football players, they figure it out, but with the injury, that does take time. There is some nuances, the way that receivers run routes and how they speak to you. And, Josh getting the feel of, hey, when he makes this move, this is what he's thinking. And so obviously we're still sorting through that, but we're better when Amari Cooper's on the field, right? And he's going to continue to progress in this offense. And Josh is the more that we can practice together and get these game reps, they're going to continue to progress.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Thanks.
Hey, Joe, John Warrow, AP. I'll let you finish your sip.
No, sorry, I lost you for a second. Froze.
That's okay. There's a whole bunch of things here going on. Stinging as any loss might be, what do you get out of it? Because it doesn't end your season, but what do you get out of what do you learn from what happened there, and maybe use it moving forward, or maybe what validation might there be out of a loss like that?
I mean, you never want to lose, but I think we believe in the process and and I know it sounds like cliche, but when we come in a day after a game, we handle the wins and the losses the same way. And there's learning experiences. There's things that we need to get to where we ultimately want to get to. There's things that we have to go through. And regardless of whether we came away with a victory or not yesterday, today was going to feel the same way. Don't get me wrong, wouldn't have felt the same way. But the going through the changes and what needs improvement and corrections and everything like that, that was going to be handled the exact same. And so, was there some positives from yesterday? Yes. I speak to the character and us being able to execute in a 2-minute drill and be able to do some of those things, but it didn't need to get to that point, right? And we had enough opportunities in the first half and the beginning of the second to not let it get to that. And so there's a lot that we can improve on. But you do learn a lot about, you don't really learn, you just continue to prove the character of our guys, and we can take that. But, our guys, there's not moral victories. Our guys want to win football games with competitors, and they understand that.
I totally get that. But I mean, knowing that you can you came just that close from coming back from a 17-point deficit, there's got to be something to that.
Yeah. The reality is we're not in the profession of coming up close, right? Like we don't want to come up close, and we got to find ways to finish it and get it done. And and that starts with me, right? Like I got to make sure that Josh Allen gets the ball back with 3 timeouts. And so, we're always going to point the thumb at ourselves, right? We're always going to make sure, hey, what can I do better? I can't just making sure I'm pointing the fingers and saying, hey, guys, we got to do this. We got to do this. It's always going to start with me. And there's their positives. Yes, there's positives. There's positives. The guys knowing that as long as there's time on the scoreboard, we have an opportunity to win. And our guys believe in that. And, being up in the sideline, looking down, our guys didn't blink. There's still energy. You see when you're scoring down 17, like it's important to the guys. And you learn a lot about, we have to go through some of these games, and I don't want to go through it, but anybody can handle success. And it's easy to show your character when you're winning, but when you're losing, how does your character show? And so I didn't learn that about our guys. I kind of knew that about our guys, but they had an opportunity to kind of prove who we were. And it shows that, they're resilient, but and that's going to come up at some point the rest of the way. And so, but I would much rather not let it get to that point.
I get that. And one last thing, Dan Campbell just spoke, and I was quoted a quote. He says, as from what he's seen from afar of Josh, I feel he's a more patient player. And he's playing at a very high level that makes him even more dangerous. How much is he dead on?
Usually Dan's dead on, right? I shared a room with Dan for 1 year in New Orleans, and so Dan's as good as it gets, and he sees football in an incredible way. And yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't say that's the only thing, but I think the way that you see kind of Josh playing and understanding, and there's a lot of plays he made out there yesterday that there's not a lot of people on the planet that can make, right? But I do think that his confidence and trust in the 10 other guys around him, and the confidence and the mastery of the system is allowing him to play with that patience.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Joe, I know it's very, very early and just coming back off this game, obviously with the flight and everything, but looking ahead to the Lions, have you gotten to start looking at their defense? And obviously you said, Dan Campbell a little bit, like what are you looking ahead to with this matchup on Sunday?
Yeah, it is really early, right? We're still kind of making sure that we put our last game to rest, and making sure that, we take all our notes and, we clean everything up before we go on. And so a lot of our coaches have naturally, kind of got going on it, but I'm making sure that I'm kind of, set before I move on. So I've gotten a little bit going, obviously, like I said, I was with Dan Campbell, was with Aaron Glenn, in New Orleans, and know what kind of coaches they are. And there's no surprise at the success that they're having. And, it's a great team, great defense. It's going to be a great opportunity for us, and an incredible environment. And so, it's going to be a great opportunity.
Just curious, just to follow up on that, with what you know about Dan Campbell, like what kind of coach is he? Is it his success he's had as a head coach at all surprising to you, like to see what they've been able to do?
Not at all. Not at all. He's as real as it gets. Everything you see from him, he's authentic, and he is himself. And, I learned so much from him being with him for a year. I was with him for 2 years, but sat in the room with him with the tight ends for 1 year. And he's an incredible coach, incredible teacher. No shock in the world to see the success he's had there.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Joe, and just John Worrell again. I'm just on Dan Campbell. It's like you roomed with him. What was that like? And how did you stop from running through walls for that guy? Just given what we know about him or what we see about him.
When you're with Dan Campbell, you really don't until you're wearing a different logo, right? So it's no, he was a great, I didn't know much about the tight end game until I'm sitting in the room with him, an incredible teacher, and the utmost respect for him. And so I love seeing the success that he's having. And obviously, this week, none of that matters, right? We're both trying to go at each other, and but just a ton of respect for him, and who he is, and the type of coach he is.